AJ, we're gonna get into the Saints schedule here and taking a look at it. And you had them, the Saints, at what was you have them at 12-5 as well, just like Aaron, but 13-4 for the Bucks. So where's this loss coming from on the Saints schedule that sets them back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Funny enough, it's the second one at Tampa Bay, in my opinion. But we know how it's been with Tampa Bay versus the Saints. Once they go into Louisiana, they go into New Orleans, they can't win there for some reason. It's just been bad. It just hasn't happened. So I've taken that one. Another loss that I think is going to hurt the Saints, I have them losing against Philadelphia next to the end of the season. I just feel like that's a pretty good trap area. Philadelphia during the back end of the season, not only will their defensive pieces be in form, providing that they're healthy. At that point in time, we know who Jalen Hurts is going to be and what that offense is going to look like and how they've come along. And I think that's a very, very good offensive matchup versus that secondary too on both sides of the ball. So I think that's a nice gritty knock it out win of the park if they are both fighting for something very big near the end of the season. I just think that Philadelphia would get the better of them at the end. But that's the other loss that I thought some people probably didn't see coming.
Yeah, I like that pointing that out of the week 17. You look at week 17 for the Bucks, it's Carolina, a little bit of a layup there, and then for the Saints, it's Philadelphia, not so good of a layup there. I have them losing that game as well to Philadelphia. Dylan, what's your storyline heading into the season for the New Orleans Saints?
A new era. Sean Payton is bye-bye. Dennis Allen is the new head coach here in New Orleans, and I think that's a huge factor. Sean Payton, just an offensive mastermind and a solid head coach at winning football games. But there is some uncertainty around this team, whether it's Jameis Winston coming off the ACL. And I know I'm going to go here, and you guys are just going to roast the ever-loving shit out of me, but bring it on. Sam Bradford was a 1-1 pick. First round, number 1 overall. He ended up going to he had towards ACL in 2013, came back in 2014. He had 19 touchdowns, 14 picks. Both guys, I mean, they've had solid careers, but it seems like they've had a little bit of uncertainty. Then the injury happens. There's one with that. But Alvin Kamara's got his court date coming up on August 1st. You don't know what's going on there. On paper, this team looks pretty good, but there is some uncertainty. Like I said, don't know what Jameis Winston's going to be there, whether it's the injury coming off the ACL. It's a tough schedule in a division that should be formidable to them. But once again, I question some of the things around there, and then losing Sean Payton is one of the biggest losses of the offseason.
Did you really just compare Sam Bradford to Jameis Winston?
I did.
In what part of the world do they compare? Sam Bradford never threw for 4,000 yards. Jameis Winston did it 4 times. Jameis Winston led the league in passing yards. Sam Bradford's never done that. Jameis Winston is a winner. Sam Bradford's never won anything. Like, we can talk about the injury one time where Jameis Winston has been hurt, but Sam Bradford was a walking Band-Aid. Like, he walked into the stadiums with ace bandages wrapped around his body. He was that fragile. So I don't think this is a comparing somebody to Jameis Winston. The fact of the matter is, Jameis Winston's biggest question has been about, hey, are you going to stop throwing interceptions? And we saw last year, the beginning of last year, he started to make that stride. He was 14 touchdowns to 3 interceptions when he got hurt, and he was 5-2. So we saw on a team that relies on the running game first, play action, and make good decisions. And that was without Michael Thomas. That was without Alvin Kamara out of the backfield consistently. And now you add in pieces on the defensive side of the football that's already been better. I think Jameis Winston, this is a prime spot for Jameis Winston. He's matured. And I think that's what people have not yet really wanted to kind of buy into yet, is sometimes a young quarterback needs to mature. It took Brett Favre, Mike Holmgren to mature and say, hey, you don't have to force every football. What did he go and do? He went and won a Super Bowl. Sean Payton took Jameis Winston and said, hey, you sit behind Drew Brees. You learn from him. You don't have to force the football down the field all the time. Be careful, stay within the offense, and you will be successful. And he did that last year. Not many people had 14-3 touchdown interception ratio. I don't think you can make the comparison there. And I think the Saints are a really damn good football team.
The one comparison I was trying to make was essentially quarterbacks coming off of ACLs. Like that's the one thing that I was trying to get at there. And
Tom Brady came off an ACL.
Tom Brady's different. You said it literally 5 minutes ago. You said Tom Brady's built
but
different.
back then was Tom Brady different? Were we saying that back then when he was still early in his career?
No.
You've had the track record where you've seen it now.
It's fair. But
Jameis
I'm
Winston's
saying,
not a runner.
This is Winston's not a runner. Neither was Sam Bradford. But the whole point is he's coming off the ACL. Like that's still huge. It's a big time injury, even at the quarterback position. And that's why I brought up the stats with Sam Bradford, obviously a different quarterback. But still, that was my thought process going into that one.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. We know Jameis, he loves to play football. That's what it's about for him, is playing football. And I think this year, this is the true test. I didn't have a doubt really with him with Sean Payton. I figured if he played the rest of the season, you might have saw him get to about 28 touchdowns, very close to that 30 he had the last year, and he might have put another 2 interceptions on. But can Dennis Allen keep him that
30.
way? I think the biggest difference coming into this season is there's a very good chance that he has more weapons. And that, I think, is the difference where Jameis Winston may get a little toss happy. It's harder to just throw the ball down the field when you're hoping Marquez Callaway is going to be the guy, when it's Taysom Hill as your tight end running the steam down the field. But when you get a Michael Thomas back, when you add a Chris Olave, when you have Alvin Kamara on your side, with all these weapons, he might get a little toss happy, and that could attribute to more interceptions this year. So can Dennis Allen keep Jameis Winston, I don't want to say chained, but kind of keep him under wraps, keep him in control to execute the game plan the correct way instead of just playing toss down the field football?
I think when you look at this schedule here, it's obviously a tough schedule. And Dylan, you have them at 9 and 8. We talk about how important Jameis Winston is on this year for the Saints, but where do they lose? Where are the losses coming from? Where are your 8 losses? Because we have them at 12 and 5. So that's 3 losses for all of us that you don't have. So where are those? Where are your 8 losses?
So I got them starting the season 3-3. I think Minnesota gets it up for a game like this. I mean, they remember going back to the whole Stephon Diggs thing and their whole rivalry. I mean, they hate the Saints. That's a big rivalry. I think Minnesota takes that one. I got them 3-3 through week 6. They end up going to 4-3, 5-3, 5-4. Head to Pittsburgh. I think that's another loss. 5-5. They lose to Los Angeles 5-6. They beat San Francisco 6-6. Tampa Bay, they'll split. Monday Night Football, that's a good one. 7-6. Atlanta 8-6. Cleveland 8-7. And then I believe they drop either Philly or Carolina to go 9-8.
Look, I'm going to jump in here, Vinny, because I think we're downplaying, and I think we're downplaying how good New Orleans is at home. And I want you to bring the schedule back up because there's a pivotal point here people really didn't notice. Number one, their schedule's easier than Tampa Bay's. Tampa Bay got screwed. They're out of conference game. The isolated game is Kansas City. That's tough. Whereas, the Saints isn't. Look at their first half of that schedule, weeks 1 through 9. If we were to point out every tough game, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Cincinnati, Las Vegas, and Baltimore, where are they all at? They're all in New Orleans. They have a favorable schedule the first 9 games, and they are going to win their home games. We talk about this every year in the NFL. There are certain teams that are really good at home. For years, Seattle would be 8-0 at home, 4-2 on the road, or 4-4 on the road. Same thing with New Orleans. They're 7-1, 8-0 at home, and then they're 4-4 on the road. Like, this is what these good home NFL football teams do. It's not going to change this year. The Saints are really good at home, but down the stretch, they have a lot of road games, and those are the games that AJ pointed out, the Philadelphias of the world. That's going to be a tough game for them. At Cleveland, if Deshaun Watson there, that's going to be a tough game for them. That's when they're going to lose their games. Early in the season, the Saints are going to get off to a hot start with a healthy Jameis. Kamara probably still unclear about whether he's going to be suspended or not. Michael Thomas, hopefully back. Everything's pointing in the direction. Again, I'm not going to assume injury. And Jameis Winston is now set up for success. You can talk about him wanting to force the ball more, but guess what? When Michael Thomas is one-on-one, he's usually open. But now you get Chris Olave over the top, more likely that he's going to be open. And let's just not forget, they just signed Tyrann Mathieu, have Marcus May, have PJ Williams and these guys who started last year are now backups in their secondary. Their defense is loaded. Their offense is loaded on talent. Their offensive line is good. They drafted Trevor Penning to replace Teron Armstead. I don't see a weakness on this Saints team if healthy. Again, it's all predicated on healthy. Excuse me. And one last point, and then you can bring us back to 4 box. This isn't about Jameis Winston needing to follow Dennis Allen. Joe Lombardi's still there. Dennis Allen's going to take care of the defense. Joe Lombardi is running that offense, and he's got Jameis Winston now for his third year, and everything's going to be the exact same way as when Sean Payton left. So I don't see any change there.
I think you brought it up perfectly. It's the weapons, too, that this team has. I mean, look at the additions that they brought in. Jarvis Landry is as much as you hate Chris Olave, he's still a very talented wide receiver. And now he's not even going to have to be their wide receiver 2. He could be their wide receiver 3 on that team. Still be great, along with Michael Thomas, whichever Michael Thomas ends up coming back. I think this team, though, it's special. It's a special team. You look at the final standings for this here. We all have them except for Dylan at 12-5.